Okay. Hi guys. Uh, this is me. This is Courtney. I don't know if you can see me. I'm trying to set it up so that you can't see me. I want to spare you all. I'm in the middle of moving, so I look slightly crazy. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to actually read out loud the assignment sheet for you all. I think it's a little bit easier sometimes to both read along visually and to hear the assignment sheets out loud. And this will also kind of give me an opportunity to discuss or elaborate upon anything that is in the assignment sheet. Do I sound different than you expected? Okay. Your first essay, of course, as you guys probably already know, is going to be on analysis and rhetoric. And specifically, you're going to be writing about Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman's The Illuminate files. I'm so excited that we're reading this book and about the responses I've gotten so far from you guys. They've actually been like totally brilliant. I've been really pleased and surprised. Yeah, this novel is one of my favorites, so I hope you all are enjoying it. Okay, so for your essay, you want to make sure you're always writing in Times New Roman, please, that it is 12-point font, that it is double spaced. Please don't try to cheat with the font size or the double spacing. I will notice. You do want page numbers rather up at the top right-hand corner, and you want to have a header. And you want the length of your essay to be 3 to 5 pages. And whenever I say 3 to 5 pages, I mean full pages. So to get the minimum length requirement, you need to have at least 3 full pages. You can have, 3.5, or you can have up to 5 full pages. This essay is worth 15% or 150 points. And your draft is going to be due on Wednesday, July 1st by midnight on Blackboard. And you're just going to upload that in the Unit 1 folder in the same way that in the homework folder you've kind of been going in and uploading your homework assignment sheets. It also just occurs to me right now that what I should tell you to do too, although I think I'm going to make sure that I write this out in the instructions, is that if you haven't already, make sure that you actually go into the Unit 1 folder and that you open up the assignment sheet and that you're following along. Okay, we're still on where draft is due. Please try to have at least 2 full pages, 1.5 minimum, for me to look at as a draft. That way I can give you the best kind of feedback possible. And you don't have to start with like your introduction, your thesis, your body paragraphs. You can have your introduction and your conclusion written. You can just have partial ideas and not complete paragraphs. Do what you need to do as like you're thinking and writing through your process. I'm totally okay with that. Your draft doesn't have to be beautiful and perfect. It's a draft. It's in process, right? However, you do want to make it look beautiful and wonderful for Friday, July 3rd by midnight on Blackboard. So I'm going to try to get feedback to you guys super, super quickly on that. Well, I guess I can't get it on the same day, Wednesday, can I? But I'll try to get it to you on Thursday as soon as possible in the morning, and I will email the whole class whenever that feedback is available to you all. Okay, so I'm just going to read this. For your first formal assignment, you'll write an analysis and rhetoric essay. This essay's goal, and this is key, should be to prove to your reader that your interpretation of the Illuminate files is correct. In other words, the goal is to convince your reader to side with your interpretation. In order to do this, you will need to have a thesis at the end of your first paragraph and an argument throughout your essay that proves your thesis. I'm guessing because many of you probably took UCOR 101 at some point or an equivalent. You're probably familiar with those terms, although in our prior lesson I went over them. You should use specific textual examples from the novel, excuse me, to explain and closely analyze your ideas. By closely analyze, I mean that you should pay attention to what is said on the page and what individual words, phrases, paragraphs, and circumstances from the text mean when analyzed individually and together. To help you analyze, you should make use of all 3 rhetorical strategies: ethos, logos, and pathos. You should also use quotations, paraphrase, and summary of the text as evidence, which you then closely analyze. Your essay should not just summarize the text. Don't just give me a plot summary, please. I've read the book. I know what happens. Please don't give me a plot summary. You want to You want to have a little bit of summary perhaps, but you really want to say, here's what the text is trying to tell us. Here's the bigger overall idea. Okay, you can use any of the materials that we've spoken about in class so far. You don't need to cite them. You don't need to cite my lessons. You can use any of that material. It's yours to use. You are encouraged, however, to also bring new ideas to the table as well as your own interpretations of passages or to build off what we have discussed in class. So you might take something that I wrote out in one of my analyses of a passage that I did online, and you might disagree and go a different direction, or you might just build off what I have already said. That's totally fine. You cannot use outside sources. I don't think you can find any outside sources about the Illuminate files anyway. It's a YA sci-fi book. Nobody is writing about it except for us. Okay, and then I do recommend some steps when writing your essay. I do have prompts below. Choose one that interests you. 2, identify passages. 3, look over what you have written. And 4, start to write. Also 5, after you get your draft back, revise, revise, revise. I'm going to let you guys read those in more detail because they do go into kind of what you should try to do. You don't have to follow these steps if you feel like you already have a good plan in place for writing. But if you're a little bit lost and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start, try to follow these 5 steps. And also know that you can schedule an appointment with me. You can email me. We can Zoom or Skype call, whatever you guys need, you let me know. Okay. And then it looks like I have 3 prompts for you guys. Okay. So consider the portrayal of love, both platonic and romantic, throughout the novel. Indeed, we can argue that much of the driving force behind the novel is love. Katie and Ezra's love for one another, Katie's love for her mother, and Ezra's love for his father. What kind of ethical ethos and logos or logical argument is made about, for lack of a better way to phrase it, the power of love, pathos throughout the novel? It's kind of cheesy, but like it's in the novel, right? Is love imagined as useful, a hindrance, or transformative? Might also be useful to kind of think about it in relation to Phobos. Just a suggestion, although you don't have to do that. Number 2, violence is a reoccurring theme throughout the novel. I feel like that's an understatement, right? We saw some horrible stuff in the section that we just read. And I do have to tell you guys, if you're a little bit squeamish, it's just going to get worse. This violence is committed by individual human characters, by technological machines, and by organizations such as the military and by tech. How is violence portrayed in this novel? Is it always inherently bad or evil? Is this violence sometimes used to protect or survive? What does this teach us about the way that humans relate to one another or form relationships throughout the text? Number 3, okay. Explore representations of girls and women in the Illuminate files. How are girls and women portrayed? Are they stereotypically feminine, or do they suggest otherwise of being female? Specifically, you might want to look at Katie and her hacker skills, or you might think about the captains of the Hypatia and how they were all women, or even Winifred McCall and how she is the one who kind of resigns in protest over the way that the military has been acting throughout the novel. What do portrayals of girls and women in the novel suggest about the limits or possibilities of science fiction as a genre to critique our modern day society? Okay, and then on the very next page, although I should pause here, your rubric is will be used to grade the final version of the essay. It's the rubric that's on the next page. I only use the rubric for the final version of the essay. The draft does not make use of the rubric. In fact, the draft does not get a grade at all. I don't want to put that kind of pressure on you guys to have to like make a perfect draft and try to get a good grade on a draft. So I just give feedback on drafts. You do need to turn in a draft though, or your final essay grade will be down a full letter. Like if you would have gotten a B, you'll get a C on it. Because I do keep track of those. So make sure you turn in a draft. Know that you're not going to get graded on it. You're just going to get feedback. And then you're going to turn in your final version where after you've revised with the feedback I've given you. And I will use this rubric on this page to go ahead and kind of show like whether you were good, satisfactory, or weak, and then I'll kind of leave you guys a little comment. It's also useful too whenever you're just planning out the draft version of your essay to consult this rubric so you kind of know how to be prepared. And I'm looking for things that we've been talking about. Thesis, that you have analysis, that you're using the rhetorical strategies, that you have an argument, and that you're using textual examples and evidence, and that there's some kind of essay structure. Just basically that you have an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion, and that the essay meets the minimum page length requirements. And then you can see here at the end, you'll get your total out of 150 points. And I might have some bigger notes too at the end that I leave for you guys. Okay, I believe that is it. Although if you do have any questions about this essay at any stage or about the assignment sheet in general, you can always leave them in the little question discussion boards that are at the bottom of each daily lesson, or you can always email me or set up an appointment to meet. I hope you guys are doing well, that you're staying safe, and that you're enjoying the novel so far, and I hope you continue to enjoy it. Okay, now how do I stop this thing? Oh, I'm still recording, aren't I? Am I still recording? Oh, technology.